All
Yeah,
right,
I'm
all
ready.
right. We early, but that's okay. We good, we good. I've been wanting to have this conversation. Uh, Katie Did's channel, ma'am. I can't do you the honors. Please introduce yourself and your channel to the peoples.
Yeah, I'd be happy to. So my name is Katie Did. I have been on YouTube for a good while. I would say at least about 5 years, but I've watched YouTube since the beginning, back in the early days, around 2007, 2008, and so yeah, I originally started an anime channel for InuYasha, and we're actually a group of supporters of Sashomer, who's our favorite character, and his wife Rin. So I do a lot of fanfic reviews, and I did reaction to the Yashahime series, and that was a lot of fun. It was 2 years of great content, great stories to talk about, and have a lot of fun in that community. And then once the series was over, it kind of died out. There wasn't a whole lot going on,
Mhm.
and I just had my second son. So I have two children. I have a 5 year old and soon to be 2 year old. My son, who's 2 year old, he was born very early at 26 weeks, so he was in the NICU for a while. So
Oh
I
wow.
stepped away from YouTube for a good while, just to hey Chris Bacon, and just to kind of get my life and situation settled. And at that time, I was still listening to like the Jack Show, some of Comicscape streams. I was listening to those, and of course LawTube, and you name it. I listened to everything, like just Tree of Logic, who was my favorite political commentary to listen to. I really enjoyed her content, and so um, but how I came to Comicsgate was, well, Eric July was coming out with Isom. Isom 1 was a success.
Mhm.
And so he was getting ready to put out Isom 2. And this is when I had my son. And I really started thinking about, I was looking around what's going on in our culture and how people, in my opinion, feel like they're influencing young children to make drastic decisions when it comes to either they're a boy or girl. There's a lot of things I didn't like about it, and I just wanted to find some good stuff for my kids to read and enjoy or to watch, because I'm very strict about what they watch and all that. So Eric July was coming out with a comic, and I kind of I watched Monetize Your Haters a couple times, because see, I used to watch FNT, Geeks and Gamers, all them guys. I
Okay.
watched all of them. Hey,
So
Free Zone.
so okay. What inspired you initially to get into comics? Was
Yes.
father, you went to the movies or one day, or just the love and passion that you have for it? Because you speak with a lot of passion for it. So where did that initially come from?
Well, I was a kid that grew up on Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Superman, Batman. I really grew up and loved that kind of stuff. I got into well, I'm a manga reader. I've
Okay.
I've read manga, and so I kind of wanted to get into comics, but my life never panned out that way. So when I had my son, I was like, I really want to get him into comic books, because I feel like if you can get your children to enjoy comics, if they enjoy reading, it
Mhm.
can help them with their reading skills. It
Mhm.
can get them to go from comics to books and education, and I really think it's really important we focus on the next generation when it comes to comics, because of course we know the comic book industry is not as thriving as it used to be,
Right.
and there's so much woke shit that they put in there, and so I wanted to find something that my kids, mainly my son, can enjoy reading. And I've always been interested in wanting to get into comics, because, like I said, I'm a manga reader. And so I came into Comicscape, and I've really enjoyed talking to the comic artists about their experience getting their book together, the art, just everything. It was awesome, and I support art. I support geek culture. Like I said, I grew up on those shows, and I'm actually getting my son to watch some old school Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles first
Okay.
season.
Okay.
So it's nostalgia, and yeah, I just want to get back into enjoying it. I feel like I've missed out a lot in my life, becoming a
Mhm.
mom, and I had some big life experiences throughout my early 20s, and so I feel like I missed out a lot. So I'm now that I have kids, that's like I could get back into it, enjoy, what I grew up on, and yeah. So I think comic books are great. I think it's a great way to introduce children to reading books. So, and that's my goal.
Okay. So I've asked a bunch of creators manga versus comics. I've asked the question, is manga the way? Given that manga was your first introduction, is manga
Mhm.
the way? Is manga going to help keep comics alive? Will comics look to see what the manga readers are reading and their content and kind of take a bits and pieces to kind of help stop the bleeding in comics? What do you say to that?
I think it can. Well, in Comicscape, there are a couple of artists who do comic books that are manga inspired.
Okay.
So I think it does somewhat help the comic book industry, but it's also bleeding it because now in comic book stores, all you see is more mangas than comics. I think what's happened to DC and Marvel in these places, and the way they're changing the characters that we grew up and love, it's made people walk away. And so, uh, manga seems to be best. I mean, there's so many mangas out there, like even slice of life manga. Um, so I feel like if something doesn't change in the comic book industry, I don't think it has much time, my opinion. But then again, Marvel and DC, they have limited amount of resources, a lot of money. So that's a good question. I really don't know kind of answer. I think it's great that in the indie comic space, I will say that there are some artists that are doing comics that are manga inspired to
Mhm.
attract people like me who read mangas.
Okay.
I think that's a way to get that audience to come to your book. Like, for instance, Von Klaus, who's a CG King, he's got Kitara Witch Hunter, and it's inspired by Demon Slayer and InuYasha, and you can just look at the art and you could be like, oh yeah, that is definitely like I would see in a manga, but it's a comic book. So I think the indie space is what's gonna help put manga readers into Western comics. I think indie space is going to be the one to do it. I don't see Marvel and DC trying to influence that side of the aisle. I think they're on their own agenda, and I think they're missing it because if they pay attention to what's going on in manga and why people like it so much,
Mhm.
uh, then if they can change some ways, maybe they can turn that around. But it's hard to tell.
Well, do you think is DC and Marvel's approach to comics typical westernized American stubborn mindset, and they view
Yeah, I
manga
think they're
as like an
stubborn.
okay,
Yeah.
okay,
I think they're stubborn. They don't wanna accept that they're dying. They don't wanna accept that their ideas are not working. I think they're, yeah, very, very stubborn. And, but, Japan with manga, they're stubborn. They're very much close to their work. They don't, I mean, God, look at anime back in the '90s. Like, we were lucky to get some of that stuff coming over that
right.
they were willing to license to us. Yeah, I think the comic book industry has been very
But
stubborn about it.
do, do you think manga creators are more likely to listen to their consumer base, their market, and say, are they more as opposed to DC Marvel?
Yes, I do. And for example, actually with InuYasha, in the community that I'm in, right now, even though the anime series of Yashahime has ended, the manga is actually just now wrapping up. Um, the person that is taking, I'm not going to pronounce their name, I will fuck it up. I know I will. But he's gotten blessings from Rumiko Takahashi to do the manga. He's gotten the
Okay,
blessings. She's overlooking it. But when we read that manga, we can tell that he and Rumiko have been paying attention to their fans
okay,
because they're putting stuff in there that we bitched and complained about with the anime series. Because, like I said, it was popular. A lot of YouTube channels were reacting to that series. It was a big deal. It's been like 2 decades since they come out a continuation after the final act. Like, this is a really big deal, and we were so excited for it, and then it just sucked. So when the manga came out, I believe him and Rumiko Takahashi like really sat down and said, okay, this is what they're looking for. It's like fan service. but they gave us a better story. I think they heard us, and
Okay.
yeah, I think that's why they're successful, because they know their fan base more than DC and Marvel could.
Okay.
Obviously,
Before
they don't know their fan base because of how
right.
shitty everything's come out from them, so it
Okay.
shows in their work.
Before we get back to the heavy stuff, I remember
Okay.
watching InuYasha on Adult Swim, and my little sister was into it, and I never got a chance to watch the final episodes or the last two. I think it was a two-parter, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, the final
Okay,
act, yeah.
what happened? Did Inuyasha and Sesshomaru, did they patch things up? Are they still
Yeah.
beefing? Okay,
They
enlighten me.
patched things up. They have patched things up in the Yashahime series. You could tell that they patched things up. They
Okay,
still shit talk with each other, but now that they have children of their own, uh, they are more of a family unit than what they were before. Yes, they've patched things up. Of course, they're going to have that dynamic between them of Sesshomaru, shit talking Inuyasha and Inuyasha doing the same. But you could see them like come together in the Yashahime series and actually work together as a family.
okay. So do Kagome and Inuyasha end up together?
Yes, so
Okay,
she ends
see,
up going to the well. So she was thrown back at home. She couldn't get back home. And she waited 3 years, and then the well she had a wish, and the well opened up. And so she went back in time, in Yasha's time, and yes, she settled, and they married, and they had one child named, oh gosh, I can't believe I forgot.
gotta be on your
That's
toes.
enough.
Gotta be on your toes.
I know. Oh, I can't believe it'll come to me. But yes, they have a daughter, and so yeah, she does stay back and has a family with Inuyasha. And yeah, the ending's really good. It was when I didn't even know the final act was done until the um announcement of Yashahime in October 2021.
Okay.
It was right after COVID, and I was like, wait a minute, did they finish the series? So I had to go back, and I'm like, "Oh god, I never watched the final act." So it must have come out like 5 years after the original series.
Okay.
So I watched it, and I'm like, "Okay, now I'm ready to go." So you're not the only one. It
O-
it, it took like 5 years after they showed it on Adult Swim to actually get the new series going. So
Okay. So then, what happens with the priest? Right, that he was always trying to get with old girl that had. I forget. Oh.
uh,
So
uh,
what happened with that subplot?
they are married. They get married and they have, four
Wow.
children,
Are you
yeah. They have their own
serious? Oh
family.
my fucking god.
So
Okay.
Shomaru and Ren get married. When she turns 18, they get married and he has twins, with Ren. So yeah, the Yashahime series, so you need to go check out. I will say the anime
Okay.
shit, but to
Okay.
go check it out, like, you could tell it's all their kids now
Oh,
working
that's
together
dope.
to fight
Okay.
against the but the sad part is the anime series don't show all the good stuff that the manga does. Like,
Okay.
that's the thing. It's like the manga is just so much better. It gives you a better storyline, it's a better plot. You actually get to see more of the original OG gang of InuYasha, and
Yeah,
so yeah,
yeah.
I hate the Yashimis, but I'm so thankful because my Sesshomaru and Rin are canon. They actually got married and had
Okay.
children, and so it was so cool. It's something that the Sesshomaru community's been wanting for a long time. There's been so many fanfic stories out there of them, of the speculation of what could, and
Mhm.
and, and it got confirmed. So it was like, thank you, yes, we can, and it's
Oh,
been
that's
taken off
what's up.
since then.
Okay, I like happy endings. All right, back to the deep stuff. All
back to
right, so
back to
what happened to you first? You saw the agenda in the comics, or you fell onto the detractor side? What took place first? What event?
what the industry was doing to comics and what Hollywood's doing in general, especially with comics and um, like the characters that I grew up and love. And so that's why when Eric July came with his comic book, I was like, okay, well, this is great. I remember seeing the Isom 2 trailer and being like, oh my god, man, like, this looks really good. I remember being pumped for it. I was like, this trailer is badass. That's when he brought the animation out. I was like, okay, I'm really excited for it. And then when it launched, like, man, so much had happened. His attitude was sucking. There was a couple of red flags I kind of noticed throughout it. I didn't really uh like how he was handling criticism, and especially when Dick Masterson and all that, like, I remember when I watched that live, I was like, "Oh, okay, here we go." Because when he was on Flashcast with, EVS, and they had that discussion, before Dick Masterson came on, I thought Ethan was kind of being a bit of a jerk, but I also understood where he was coming from,
Okay.
and the way Eric was responding was not, um, satisfying. I'm like,
Okay.
"Really? That's all you're gonna say?" But you're also, not taking the advice of someone who's been in the comic book industry longer than, say, you've been alive. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
this
Yeah.
man's got some experience. If you don't like his opinion, that's fine. Just say, "All right, cool, thank you." You know, don't try to have a debate with him. And then when Dick came on, I was like, "Man, this guy's an asshole, Eric." But after a couple days after I let it sit, I'm like, so I went back and watched it because it got clipped several times. It was a pretty big deal. And so I was like, "Yeah, I don't like this kind of attitude." And then he did his For Canon's Sake, and he was running his mouth on that one. And I just like, wow. But when he couldn't take criticism very well,
Well,
I was not happy with that. I was like, come on, man, just because that's the thing with what EVS is saying is like like for instance for me, like I have people who clip me. I have someone who clips me.
yeah, they do. Yeah,
They
they do.
clip the clipper. And so they do these live streams, and Sturgis is one of them, Renown Zero. And yeah, is it hard to listen to? Yeah, especially a particular person in our community who does not like me very well. It was hard to listen to the stream, but I sat there and tried because they actually pointed out some things that maybe I could do better. Like maybe I
Okay.
need to explain myself better.
Okay.
Okay, well, I could tell my background music's a little high. I need to cut that shit down. It's a little,
Okay.
I took it with, the advice, and it was, like, hard to listen to, but I'm kinda glad because 'cause I'm like, I know when I could do better.
Mhm.
So I think that's the problem with Eric and just his attitude, and then that stream with Nick Rekieta, it sealed the deal. I mean, it sealed it. I was just very disappointed at how he handled himself. I'm disappointed of the lies and the manipulation, and what really got it going is he did a stream for Canon's Sake, and I was actually I was running around doing errands, and I was listening to him, and I had to pause it and had to go in the house. I'm like, "Alright, I'll listen to it once I get settled."
Mhm.
And he privated the stream, and I was like, "What the fuck?" Because he was talking
Okay.
about Dick Masterson, he
Okay.
was talking about Vito and EBS and Nick Rekieta. So, I mean, I probably had, like, 5 followers on Twitter at the time, and I just put out this tweet, and I tagged all of them. And I just said, "Why did you private this stream? It makes no sense, like, if you're gonna say what you're gonna say about this person and this person, this person, you need to stand up by what you say. Don't be a coward. You need to be
Mhm.
a man. Stand
Mhm.
by your convictions." I'm supposed to, like, I've been wanting to buy a copy of your ISOM,
Okay.
and this is not setting a good example for my son.
Okay.
Like, if you're gonna if you feel so much hatred for them, stand by. Why private the stream? That just shows that there's some guilt. There's a little regret, but that's how you feel. Stand by it. Why are you hiding it? It just makes it look worse. I put that out and
It
my
came for
phone
you.
went off for 2 days straight. I had people having debates with each other in the thread. I had just people retweeting. I had Dick Masterson retweet it. I had Eric Live respond to me, and he said, "Well, the stream is for members only." And I said, "Well, no, it's I've been on YouTube, bro. I know what it looks like." "Well, we had to take down because of copyright." Of your trailer? Is that the copyright you're talking about? Like,
Yeah.
no, you didn't take it down because like, you're coming up one excuse after another, and I'm catching you in, I guess, 4K or on Twitter or whatever these people call it. Like, it's just ridiculous. And actually, Frog Tony did a video on that tweet that I did before him and I even met each other. That's how viral it went. So I just caught him I caught him lying, and he didn't like it. Told me I was drama farming, and here I am as a detractor. So
So let me ask you, what was the exact moment that you said, you know what, I'm going to insert myself into this and speak on what I'm what I'm witnessing? What was that moment? That exact moment for you?
Kinda nerve-wracking because I knew that 'cause, Tony invited me on his stream, and at the time, he was the only one he's the original OG detractor, like, he
Okay.
is the one that started it, and he had these big streams, and he offered me to come on and talk about it, and I said, "Okay, well, if I go on here" like, you gotta think, my tweet just exploded, I'm getting all kinds of shit from people,
Mhm.
and I said, "Okay, well, if I get on here, I need to be prepared for what comes because I'm coming out here and critiquing being a critic."
Right.
And Eric July is very popular. He's made a lot of money. I'm kind of going against the big guy. Am I prepared for it? I kind of just talked to myself. I talked to my husband a little bit. I said, okay, this is, he said, well, if this is how you really feel, do it. I mean, he said, just don't do anything that, don't say anything stupid, but I think it wouldn't hurt to get on there and just share your story about it.
Mhm.
So I did. And they made me feel welcomed. And then the response I got from people who saw that tweet of mine and felt the way I did and, had some support, it was like, "Okay." But it was nerve-wracking. I was nervous because I knew once I stepped fully into the spotlight, because I hadn't responded or anything since that tweet, so I
Okay.
knew, "Okay, this is gonna be a big jump, but I think I'm ready to do it. We'll see what happens." And so I'm on a mission. I'm a mom that's looking for good comic books. Well, I guess we're gonna start right here as a detractor, so
What does your husband think of this, of the online, the back and forth?
he
Is
thinks it's
he
crazy.
okay? Does he understand why this is
Yes.
taking place? Okay.
Yeah, because he sees what I see when it comes to the rage bait content. Because he used to watch Geeks and Gamers Sports channel,
Okay.
so he's sort of familiar with that side. We're both conservative Trump supporters, we we follow along with the rage bait content, but as time is going on, him and her are getting tired of it. And so when I explained to him like how I felt about these things, he agreed with me. Like,
Mhm.
I feel like they're not really giving a shit. Like, they're kind of being lazy with their content. They're just reading an article. They're not really giving me their opinion.
Mhm.
I'm getting tired of watching these video clips because it's kind of wearing me down. I'm tired of the negativity. I'm just over it. I'm tired of people coming into our space and putting on this front like, yeah, I'm for America and free speech and hell yeah, fuck America, yeah, fuck yeah, America, and then I find out that they're just using us to get in our wallets and taking our money. Like it's just I'm seeing so much fakery, and he does too. So he definitely knows. He knows what's going on, and I haven't said this before, but he does pop in my chat every once in a while, and
Okay.
yeah,
Well,
he doesn't say who he is, but
yeah,
he
yeah.
comes in and he watches sometimes when he works, and no, he's very, very supportive of me doing this, and,
Well, I'm
he
glad
just
you.
worries about,
Of
like,
course.
"You be ready. You're
Yeah.
going to get some big people, and you got your family here, so just be careful what you do and what you say, and, I just don't wanna see you get embarrassed online and stuff," and I said, "I got you, babe. I hear you." So,
Well, let me ask you, this part that you said, that come into our space and pretty much grift us for money. I- Is that, would you admit that that's being a bit naive to think that you guys would be immune to that type of action, or mindset per se, right? So you see other groups, people come in and profit off their pain, off the misery. And my question to you is, did you think you guys were just a tad bit naive and thinking it couldn't happen to you guys?
yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. I think we were kinda naive, like, because so much was happening during the Trump years, like, there was so much exposure and corruption that we were seeing, and, we felt like, well, we're the side of righteousness, like, we're uncovering all these things, we're seeing the corruption, we're seeing what they're doing to this country and our entertainment.
Mhm.
Now, nobody would be like that on our side, no way.
Okay.
Like, we would know. Well, we were naive, and now we've let people, like, no offense, Candace Owen. I don't that chick, I don't know. I agree a lot with some what she says, but sometimes I feel so like she's flippy
Blame.
floppy a little bit,
Right, right, right.
That's why I really enjoy listening to Trilogic. She's a beautiful Black woman. She, is very much into politics. She's conservative, but she's kinda like me where she doesn't she tired of the bullshit on her party too.
Okay.
But she's gone after people who are grifting not only in the red pill manosphere, but in general in the conservative movement, like singers and rappers that are coming in and putting on the front, or
Okay.
content creators. So yeah, I have to thank her for it because she really helped open my eyes to a lot of things. Like,
Okay.
oh, girl, I didn't think about that. Like, I think we're starting to open our eyes and see
Okay.
what's going on.
Let
And I
me.
think that they have to blame for that. Like, real quick, I will say this.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I think Gary Neurotic and all these people should blame themselves for us waking up because they have told us for years of, well, this is why this is woke. Look at this, look at that, look at this.
Hmm.
This is not right, this is not right. And then when Eric comes in, everybody's, well, quiet. And that's fine if you don't want to have your opinion on your friend's comic, but how are you gonna be honest? Like, you can't critique others like Marvel and DC and all these people
Hmm.
if you got something right here and you're lying about it. You know what
Hmm.
I'm saying? So they kind of trained their audience to pick out bad art, bad media. Like, so when we see someone like Eric come in and some other fakery, it's like, wait a minute, now we're catching up. Like, all right, I see it. So yeah, we were a little naive. I will admit to that. I think we just never thought, not on our side. No, we're
Right.
patriots. No way. Well,
Okay. I, you're the perfect person to ask this. You are
yeah.
a white woman. You are married.
Hmm.
How do you see conservatism? What does it look like to you? What to you? Because I hear everybody else's opinions about it, and I've never, you know, had a chance to ask somebody on the opposite side of it. What does that look and sound like to you? What is that to you every day when you wake up?
To me, and my vision of what a conservative is getting up, taking care of your family, being there for your children, giving them the best education, letting them know reality of life. Don't lie to them. Tell them what's going on in schools. They have a question. But be firm and tell, as I'm a Christian too, so there's a lot of things that I don't agree with that goes on with the side of left. But I would always teach, conservatives, you know, we can disagree what we're doing, but we shouldn't hate them.
Okay.
We should love them no matter what. That's to me as conservative. Like, look, I don't agree with gay marriage, but if that's what makes you happy, that's on you. I don't agree with it, but I'm not going to treat you no different. Like, treat others the way you want to be treated. I want the blue collar because I'm from the South too. I'm around the blue collar of the lower state of Virginia, and to me, conservative is I want to see small business grow. I want to see communities grow. I want to see us all thriving and looking out for your neighbor, um, protecting your community, having the right to bear arms to protect you and your family, and of course for hunting games and sports. But freedom, that's what I see. Freedom. If people have the right to say and do what they want, as long as they're not harming someone, that's
Okay.
to me like the freedom that we have in our country. Um, like I said, I think, like for instance, Eric DeBunks. Um, he's a great YouTuber and he's a liberal. He's actually a gay man. And him and I are really good friends online. He's come on my show and we have so many great conversations. And I think him and I are like, we're just tired of like this infighting. We're tired of fighting with each other. Let's find things that you and I can agree on. Like he even said on his show, like there's things that Katie did likes that I could not agree with, but she's a lovely person to hang out and talk with, and I think we can share a lot when it comes to what we want as Americans for our country. Um, yeah, I just think we have the free will to thrive and prosper, raise our children in safe neighborhoods and environments, and protect our schools. Protect what our children are listening to. Like, I'll be in school board meetings all the time. They're gonna
You're
know who
that
I
mom.
am by the time
Gotcha.
they graduate. Let's just say that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Um,
You're that mom. Okay.
but being involved in your community, that's to
Yeah.
me, as a conservative white woman, I wanna be involved in PTAs. I'm in their PTAs,
Okay.
school boards, all that. To me, that's being conservative is, your household, your family, your country, your freedom, and, the privilege that we have, in this country to have those freedoms, you know?
What do
I
you
hope that
think
answers
people?
your question.
No, no, no. Perfectly. What do you think people get wrong about you being a white female conservative? Is
That
there
I'm racist. I think
okay?
that's the part that bothers me. Um, I I guess what from what I'm experiencing dealing with the Ripatards,
Okay.
it's a lot with racism, like, "Oh, so she's a white woman, conservative. Oh, she just doesn't like Eric Talai 'cause, he's black," and it's like, "No, it has nothing to do with color." I think conservatives get I mean, there's people like, for me, I am conservative, but I want to treat everybody with respect. I wanna treat people the way I would want to be treated. I'm tired of the infighting. I'm tired of arguing with people about stupid shit when it comes. I think we all know our country's going to shit. Can we all just agree that no matter who's in office, the country's literally going to fucking shit? It
Yeah.
sucks going to the grocery store. It sucks going to the gas station. It just sucks all around. Like, come on, we can agree on that. Like, shit just sucks right now. And yeah, I think that's the problem is "Oh, and you hate gay people and all this." I'm like, "I hang out with Eric the Bunks, man. Like, are you kidding me? Like, if I hated gay people, I wouldn't talk to him at all." Like, I just don't like it when it's shoved down my throat. That's the thing I'm struggling with now is
Okay.
it's fine if you wanna believe what you wanna believe, but don't shove it down my throat. Like, I'm not that kind of person. Like, I'm not gonna get in your face and say, "Oh, well, if you don't agree with this, then you ain't American." It's like, just I think I'm so focused on my family. Like, before I had kids, like, I was all like, "Yeah, Trump," and I mean, I still am a little bit, but I I wasn't very open to a lot of people,
Okay.
because it was left against right,
Hmm.
it was a fighting of 4 years, and then, you step back and you a couple years, you get a little older, and it's like, we actually all just everybody sucks, people suck, I don't know what to
Hmm.
tell you.
Yeah.
And you realize it's not worth the infighting anymore. It's exhausting. I think when Biden won the election, um, I said, you know what, I'm done. I'm done. I stopped watching political content for a while. I just stepped away, and then I got into reading fan fiction and
Okay.
manga. Because to me, it was like, well, the world's going to shit. I rather just enjoy the time I have with my family and
Hmm.
all. And so when, we go, then, at least I did what I wanted to do. And
Right.
it's been nice to not really think about it. It's been a great break and stress reliever because it was getting overwhelming, just
Okay.
all constant.
Let me ask you. So basically, you're a fiscal conservative as well, social and fiscal conservative. You
Mm.
on okay? Does what are your views on capitalism? Because I find that a lot of conservatives have an issue with capitalism or some form of it. So, what are your views on capitalism? Because basically, that's what we live pretty much live in a capitalist state. It's a free for
Yeah.
all.
No, I
And
support capitalism. Yeah.
okay, what issues do you have with capitalism, if you have any, as a conservative, or is that a misnomer?
No, capitalism is great, but yeah, there's some things that can be fixed. For instance, before I became an independent hairdresser, I worked for corporations. I worked in, the corporate world a little bit. And the shitty pay, you're in the shitty health insurance, like capitalism is great, but when it comes to these big corporations and businesses, the fact that they don't really take care of their employees, like my
Okay,
husband works for a big insurance company, health
okay,
insurance company, and insurance great, but the shit that comes along with it sucks.
mhm,
Yeah, I like capitalism. Things can definitely be fixed when it comes to higher up in big companies.
okay.
there needs to be more understanding of employees and, you know, taking better care of people,
Okay.
in a sense.
What do you think about voters that care more about the federal policies or federal voting on the federal level as opposed to the local primaries, their local elections? Do you think people are missing the point? Okay, so
Yes, because you can vote for your federal government, but to me, like for instance, I go to school board meetings, I'm in PTA, because my little girl's been in preschool, which is the school she's going to. I've been to PTA and stuff. Now you really need to pay attention to your local government because
okay,
that's where you can stop it. Like, if, for instance, like that's where you can make the real change. Like
okay,
when it comes to your mayor or the treasurer, people in the local sense. Because if you let the local elections go by and not pay attention to it, you're going to get one of those bad apples that's literally going to make it to the federal government level, and
right,
it's too late to even stop them at that
okay,
point. They've
okay.
already had so much influence and money by that point. So I think if we want to like stop some of the corruption in the federal government, the best way is to focus on your local community and local elections. That's where it matters the most.
You're right, but the Trump versus Biden is sexy. It gets
Yes,
views.
it is.
I'm
It is.
entertained. What? How much have you? Because like you said when you see after the last election, you said you were done. So how much have you totally stepped back? Or are you still emotionally invested in the presidency at this point, or are you just watching it for entertainment?
Kind of both. I'm
Okay,
watching it for a little entertainment, but I'm also kind of now stepping into it a little bit,
okay,
because it is a pretty big deal election, and especially after that last debate and then talking about replacing Biden and all that. Like, yeah, it's I don't know. I have to say what happens after the election because I do want to get back since I've taken a little bit of a break of it. I do want to get back and start pay attention to what is going on
okay,
politics wise. And this election is starting to get me back into that. But you know, Eric July's been doing stupid shit every week, so I get so busy dealing, detracting with him that I can't even pay attention to the politics since I'm dealing with his ass and
okay,
Neurotic's ass and Geeks and Gamers asses. So, but no, it's partly entertainment, uh, but yeah, I'm starting to pay attention a little bit of what's going on now.
okay. Last political question. You strike
Okay,
me as the mom that would run for president of the PTA. I see that in you. I can hear. I mean, respectfully, like you strike me as
thank you.
yeah, I'm running for because y'all ain't doing this shit right. Is that something that you would kind of dip your toe into because you're politically aware and astute? Why would you not kind of just let me put my money where my mouth is and let me get involved in some form of political?
You know what? That's a good one. I've never really thought about that.
Okay,
I say if the opportunity was to show itself and it's what's in God's plan, then yeah, I would do it. Yeah.
okay,
Um Actually I never thought of that's a good one, Sly. I never really thought about that. But yeah, I think I would love to. Um but it has to be the right time and opportunity in a
okay.
sense. So I would probably consider that something like once my kids have been in the system for a while,
Hmm.
I say probably about middle school age
Hmm.
is when I would make that step and be like, okay, my kids have been in the system. I know what's been going on for several years, because right now my oldest is in doing one more year of preschool before she goes to kindergarten. So
Okay,
I figured before I go and start telling people what I think. I'll let my kids sit in the system for a little bit. Let me see what's going on a little more. Let me join in more of the PTA meetings and school board.
okay.
And then, when God gives it the right time, I definitely would like to do that. Yeah.
Good, good. Okay, let's get back to Eric July, the Eric
Okay.
July-ness. Do you think his political stance, his current political stance, because before I believe he was a Democrat at one point, and now he's libertarian. Do you think
Got
that's hurting or the optics on him don't is part of the problem per se? If he were a black conservative, would you be like, well, you know what? Okay, he's a conservative.
I would at the start, yeah. At the start of it, yeah. I think what hmm, I say if he came out conservative instead of libertarian, I
Mhm.
think it'd be different. Now,
Okay.
if he did that and started kind of being hypocritical, like we're seeing with the people that are around him are doing,
Okay.
I would still call it out, even if he was conservative.
Okay.
Because, like I said, I'm sick of that shit. Um, I think what hurt him politically was he comes and says he's libertarian, but and I mean, I get it. If you get an opportunity on Fox News, I mean, sure, take it. But don't go out there and be like, yeah, this is a comic book against the woke. We're going against Marvel and DC. We're all about the conservative, movement and all this. And I don't, I, it's a lie. Like you could have just said, well, no, we're fighting against the woke and all, but it's about the story. It's not about politics. It's about the story.
Mhm.
Instead of him selling the story, he's selling the politics of it. We're fighting the culture war. Are you going to join me in fighting this culture war? Never about the story of Avery, of Isom.
Right.
That's yeah, I feel like he was putting on a front for us too. Because I remember I watched the Michael Knowles interview. I watched all that when I was a fan of him, and,
Okay.
like, looking back, I was like, "You really ate that shit up," which is fine, but then don't come out here and say, "Well, I never said it was an anti-woke book." You were on interviews and shit with conservative eating that shit up. Like, don't it's o you don't it's okay to admit it, don't lie, that's the problem I'm having, it's this lying, it's like, just be honest, man, you'd be surprised how many people would be on your side if you're just straight up honest, like, I don't know. It's just I think he's trying to mix libertarian into conservatism. Like, at first, he's, like, all about the conservative, anti-culture, and then once he's in, he's like, "Well, it's all libertarian and fuck them hoe-ass roads and blah, 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 and oh, I never try to make it like a conservative book. That's not what we're here for." And
Mhm.
it's like, no, but you did say that. So why are you changing your tune now? Like,
Mhm.
yeah.
Let me get your thoughts on the Riley situation.
Yeah.
I've always said, well, my stance is, there's trolling, then it goes to the harassment, then there's stalking, and there's levels to that. And I'm the first to admit there's enough wrong on both sides. I think Eric should have had a maybe 5 or 10 minute conversation with the guy, had to get it over with. That way, you can't say I didn't talk to that guy. I gave him 10 minutes of my time. Um, I, is Riley doing too much? Like, what's right? Does anybody understands Riley's end game? Because getting locked up for this was not worth it to me. But
I'll be honest with you. When he went down there, he did not know he had a warrant. He was well aware of something like that because the Eric did call the police on him when he went to the warehouse,
okay,
and he actually had his lawyer. Before he went down there, he said he got his lawyer to look to make sure that there was no warrant or anything from that previous incident. Because he said, we didn't hear nothing back, so I got my lawyer to go in and check. And
okay,
he said, nope, there's nothing there. You're in the clear. There's no warrant. There's no nothing. And then we find out in the state of Texas, they don't even have to tell you if you have a warrant or not. So, you know, his attorney looking into it, like, okay, well, you're clear. And so I think if Riley knew that warrant was out there,
mhm,
I think he would have changed course a little bit. Now, I'm not Riley, so I can't really say on his part, but I feel like he would have planned it different.
right,
But he did make sure and checked everything before he went and did this because he was aware that people were not going to like his presence being there. He is not a I know he comes off like whatever, but he's actually a really smart man with a lot of money. So
see, I'm
he
not knowing all this. I'm late to the game. I'm late to the
well, him and
party.
Mint do very well. And they do other content, not just, the OnlyFans and stuff, but they do pretty well. They work hard. And so they're he's very smart in a sense, like, because he met up with Chris Bacon, because Chris Bacon came on my show that night when we were watching the live stream, and he said, "I actually met up with Riley, and we met up at a deli shop. We sat down and ate, and I can't say what was talked about, but I will tell you this man is smart. He knows what he's doing.
Okay.
He's prepared for what's coming. And actually, Chris Bacon gave him those item covers. Those books originally came from Chris Bacon.
Chris is a menace,
So
man. He's a menace.
so, that's why I was shocked that we found out he had a warrant. It's like, what? Like, that's crazy because, I mean, Riley and his attorney made sure to check everything before this, and then we have a warrant? Like, that's crazy.
Mhm.
Um, the thing of it is like, I don't think he's doing too much. I think people are just not understanding what he's trying to do. Look, it's all a show. It's all an act. But what he's doing is not an act. What the problem is all Eric July had to do, which we all laugh and joke about this now. All Eric July had to do was just read Riley's super chats. That's all he had to do was read his super chats and confront Riley and say, "Hey, this is why I struck you down. This is why I took your store down. You can't be doing this." No, he ignored him. And so that's why Riley went to the warehouse to put money on the on the warehouse and said, "Ignore these super chats."
Okay, well,
Um,
I'm glad you
and that
said
was at
that.
night when nobody was there.
Okay.
So he I think the reason I'm on his side a little bit because I know Riley. I know he's harmless. I know what
Okay.
he's trying to do. So in my head, I can't understand why people are taking it so out of proportion to what he's doing. It's he was there to have fun, but he was protesting a little bit too. Like,
Oh,
I think if Eric would have come out, like you said, and had that conversation, I think it would you would kill Riley's act right there. Like, you would destroy everything he's working because you come out there and you play nice with him and all. Well, what's Riley going to argue about now? You know what I'm saying? There was some things I think they shouldn't have done. Um, I think when they went up to the window, I think crossed a little bit of a line there.
okay.
Now, I know that they were harmless. I know what their intentions was, but I think that was probably not a good move to do that. I think that's kind of what put people on edge. Like, it's one thing you're standing on the sidewalk, but then like you're right up at the window with the
Mhm.
phone right there where
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
tapping and making noises. I think if they just didn't cross that line, maybe things could have turned out different. I don't know. That's probably the one thing I would have a critique about. Like, hey, I think if you guys just stayed in your spot, I think everything would have been all right. So, um, although I do understand why they were trying to do that,
Mhm.
for comedy and whatnot, but I think they were there for a while. People been having some drinks. It's a bar. And then you start tensions are gonna rise. People have been drinking alcohol, people don't like you. And I will say this, I think a lot of the um, fans of Eric July were egging Riley on because you can hear in the stream, you can hear them shouting from a distance. They're trying to get his attention, trying to get him pissed off. So he does show his ass and then he could get arrested there. Like,
Mhm.
they were baiting Riley to do it. And all Riley was doing was passing out ISOM covers and or comics and said, "What's your favorite part? If you could tell me what your favorite part is, you can have a copy of ISOM." And I think it just got blown way out of proportion. I don't think Eric had anything to worry about. I don't think any of those guys had anything to worry about. I don't think Riley was there to cause harm to anybody. Um, so yeah, and even some of Mint's friends that were there, Lila Hart and others, they came out and talked to Mint. Like, they came out of the building and talked to her for a little bit.
Mhm.
And because Mint brought them like some candy and stuff, she made little gift bags for them. Of course, she was allowed to go in, so they came out and talked to her. So I thought that was really sweet. And of course, we saw Alex Stein having some laughs. That's what it was supposed to be about, was some comedy, fun, and some jokes. And it didn't turn out that way. So yeah, there's a couple things I wish they would have done a little different, but I stand by them in the sense I know why they were there, and I stand by the reason that they were there.
I hear
So,
what you're saying. Here's why I'm on the opposite side of
okay.
that. Um, you as a content creator, we get trolls. And the first rule of internet is you never feed the trolls.
Mhm.
So Eric ignoring Riley was the smart thing to do because we're YouTubers. That's what YouTube policy tells us. We don't feed into that. it seems like people felt like Eric owed him a conversation. I'm not saying he owed him. I said if I'm gonna diffuse this, I'm gonna be diplomatic. Let me take the air out of his sails and just give him the conversation for 10 minutes. That way, can't nobody say anything. But I think because he never did it, people were saying, "Well, you could at least given him the conversation." Eric didn't owe the man, and I get it. Reading super chats is as a to not read a super chat is super disrespectful. It's almost like
Yeah,
how
two
dare you?
$50 super chats, and you're not gonna read it. That's no matter what it says, you should read it. That people pay any money, man. Mm, that's just my opinion. But go ahead. I'm sorry, I didn't
No,
mean to
no, no,
interrupt.
no. I hear what you're saying,
Right.
but I don't. I can't. I'm not in Eric's head. But if he felt like Riley was trolling, because I've seen people troll with the money. They'll put some crazy comments in there just to get you to read it for the money. It's like, ooh,
True, it depends on what it is. If
yeah,
it's pretty like, "Alright, that's a little fucked up, dude," but
yeah.
I think just probably call him out for striking down his store, you know, I think he would have just looked at it and then try to maybe reach out to Riley. I mean, you're right, he doesn't owe Riley that, but I think after the warehouse situation, I think Eric should have been like, "Okay, let me see how I can diffuse this, because if I don't diffuse it and I egg it on, I'm feeding into his character, Riley's character. I'm feeding into it more and more because that's the thing about Riley. He's trying to get your attention. He's trying to
Mhm,
shake you a little bit. And if all you have to do, and even Mints have said it before to so many people, just ignore Riley. Don't try to respond to Riley because that's what he wants you to do. She's given people so many warnings about that because that's what he wants. And if you don't respond to him, he's okay with that. He's on to something else. So but I get what you're saying though. I can understand. I've listened to a lot of streams of people with a different opinion than mine, um, who shared their thoughts about it. I get what they're saying. Like
mhm.
I can understand that. Yeah, if someone's going to show up at my event and I know they've shown up twice, it's a little creepy. Yeah, but I think the reason I'm having a hard time agreeing with them, like I understand, but I'm having a hard time agreeing with them because I know Riley. So
Okay.
I guess that's why, like, if it's some random dude that nobody knows, he's just some fucking weirdo that shows up these places, okay. Yeah, that's a little concerning, but, like, for Riley, he wasn't hiding. He was out there in the open and making funny content and videos and rap music and stuff, like,
Right.
just for laughs
Um,
but I
I'm with
get it. I get it.
I'm with you up until a point. Like maybe not had his wife not been at the event. Then I'm like, okay, you got two men, let him go head up. But once you got family and on that level involved, they're around in the area because you know I've seen too much shit go left, and
Right.
everybody, people get hit with stray bullets and just God knows whatever. It just, I just the optics were extremely bad. I
Right, I
get it.
see what you're
You
saying.
know what I'm saying? I'm all for, yeah, trolling. I love a good troll, but at what cost? Like, what's the extent? How far are you willing to go to get this man's attention? So now I'm asking you, this is all, he's been arrested. It's going to be a court date. I don't think he does no jail time, probably get a fine. Do you think that would be the end of it? Do you think Riley would be like, you know what? Okay, it wasn't worth a bad move. Eric's willing to, put me in jail. Maybe I should back off. What do you think Riley does?
That's a good question. I don't know what Riley would do. I do know right now that they're doing a GoFundMe, and there's so people are out there saying, "Oh, this is a GoFundMe to get him out of jail." No, he's out of jail. The reason they're getting the funds, it's because they're trying to get a defense attorney. They are um, trying to get a lawyer to defend him because this looks like it's going to be a pretty big deal
Okay.
when it comes to court. Like, I've had private conversations with them. I will say that they're taking this very serious,
Okay.
and they're looking for the best defense lawyer, and they're gonna fight it. They're gonna fight this, and so um, we'll see what happens after that. I couldn't really tell you, Sly, what Riley would do after that. I don't know, because here's the thing too: is is Eric's not helping his case because he's putting out retweeting these tweets of false narratives and allegations of them too.
Mhm.
I've got clips of him still talking about it, shit talking, and it's like, have you not okay, Eric, if I'm in your head, have you not learned your lesson? Like, why are you still doing this? Why are you egging this on? Like, it okay, have you learned like, just stop. Like, obviously, I don't know how to say it.
Okay.
It's aggravating. It's like, you not learn your lesson, Eric. Like, why are you still doing this? Like, this could be used against you in court when it comes to them, you
Yeah.
know? Like, you just shut your mouth.
Part of that insight is, you know, say for us, urban folk, if you got a chance to get somebody locked up and you have a voice online, you're going to make fun of that person. You're going to antagonize. You're going to twist that dagger, you know. So that's, I get why he's still going
Okay,
the route that he's going. You got to,
okay.
he's got to jab it in.
Well,
That's
that makes
almost
sense.
expected. I wouldn't. I'd be surprised if he had stopped. To be honest with
Okay,
you. Yeah.
okay,
Yeah.
okay.
Um, the culture war. I'm of the ilk. It's a losing battle because I looked up the top 50 companies that you would have to boycott to hurt this. Let's say a Disney, and they have so many facets of your life they affect that you rely upon them for. Find me a better way to boycott what they're doing. Do you have a better way?
To me, if they're putting out something that I do not want my children to watch, then they will not watch it. Now, if they put out some things that I think is okay for my kids to watch, cool, we'll do it.
Okay.
I feel like the boycott, there's only so much you can do with that. It really takes more than just one person.
Mhm,
It really has to be a movement like the Bud Light situation.
mhm.
But then after a while, people are like, oh, fuck it, you know. um, I don't think you're gonna ever get them to change. I don't think you're gonna get Disney to change. Um, the best thing I can do in boycotting, because yes, I have Disney Plus,
I do too, and I'm
but
not getting rid of it. I'm keeping it.
I'm not. Yeah, because there's movies I grew up on,
Yes.
but it's all about pick and choose. Like, I'm not gonna take Disney Plus away from my kids because I have a political stance with it. No, just pick some things that your kids can watch and like did the great thing about Disney Plus is like their their thumbnails we would call or posters or whatever the series or movie is will tell you if it's woke or not. Like, so it's not like you have to like really try to figure it out. It's pretty noticeable. Um to me, like, boycotting it can work, but these companies have made so much money. They ain't going nowhere.
Yeah.
They're not. They're it'd be the day Disney disappears will be the day Armageddon will show up. Let's just be real here. Like, they ain't gonna go nowhere. Can they get hurt financially? Yeah. Like, yeah, I know after COVID and their parks and stuff, like people weren't going to their
Mhm,
parks as much, so they're losing money with that. And then
mhm.
this James O'Keefe thing coming out. Yeah, it can hurt them, but I don't think it would. I think if they want them to change, it's gotta come from inside the company and corporations for that change to happen. I don't know, that's a good question. You can, but for how long and will it work? To me, I guess, personally, I could just be like, "Well, you're gonna watch this, but you're not gonna watch that. We'll go do this, but we're not gonna go do that." So that's my way of boycotting,
Yeah,
is me controlling what my children are doing and watching.
yeah. Here's what I would hate to see everybody turn into: a Star Wars fan. Because as much as everybody trashes the acolyte, you they're the best promotion Disney could ever ask for, and Disney's not paying these guys to promote it.
No, that's the thing, yeah. It's crazy.
I, there's there's no product you should be that emotionally invested in to the point where it consumes your life, or you're actually having on air mental breakdowns. Like you should
Star
not.
Wars Theory. I saw that, I saw I saw you cover
Could
that, and
you
I'm like,
imagine your
"Is this
husband
dude really
online?
crying?"
I mean, think about it. Could you imagine your husband doing that online, like
I
over a
don't know, I'd be,
product?
"What's wrong with
I
you?"
mean, not my Caterpillar tractor. I get it's Caterpillar, babe, but it's a tractor. We'll we'll get over it. I I don't want people to turn into that because then it becomes non-productive. Then it's like you're the joke at this point, and no one's gonna take your complaints seriously. If you don't like it, I guess for me the best thing to do is not watch it. But here's another problem: Inside Out just is on its way to $1 billion. That's a Disney
Yeah,
product.
yeah, and so far from what I've seen, I haven't seen anything that is something I would be concerned of. It seems like it's pretty much a really good movie that is not trying to force. Now, I could be wrong, something could come out, but so far from what I've heard, like, there's nothing, like, woke crazy in it.
Yeah.
I think even Disney is probably starting to get the idea because, man, they have one failure after another failure after another failure. Um, Maybe Disney is gonna try to turn things around in that sense, like, "Okay," you know?
Well, I think they'll keep some stuff separate. We'll pump it
Right.
into Star Wars, but we'll leave the kids show, the Pixar stuff alone. I could see
Yes.
them doing that because
Yeah.
the Lightspeed. I remember the Lightspeed brouhaha. Everyone's. I was like, God damn, I ain't letting my kid watch this shit. Like, and
I know, and wasn't it sad that you couldn't let your kids watch it? Like, it's like,
yeah,
"Damn it, why did you gotta put that shit in there?"
yeah,
You know?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it sucks. It does.
So,
So,
what does the future for Katie did look like? As far as the comics, the TV, the film.
well, the good thing is this has been a wonderful journey. I do have to give thanks to Frog Tony for giving me a place to come to and share my frustrations of Eric and the frustrations of hypocrisy that's going on in that group of people that are using him like he's using them and they're using him, and it's kind of nice that I can come out there and like talk about it. So and then it started clipping, and then EVS, showing my clips on Trashcast, and Comicscape has been a wonderful place. I'm very thankful for people who have followed me. I think people are enjoying the fact that like I'm a normie. I'm not a comic book nerd, but I'm here to get some good stories, read some good stories, look at some amazing art, support the comic creators who were in the industry and now are independent. And so I think that's what's great because Comicscape also supports free speech. Um, there's some infighting, but I think that will eventually fade. It's just going to take time because a lot of new things are happening in Comicscape. But my future is I'm going to keep detracting, and it's not just Derek July. It's the gang. It's all of them. It's not just me, but it's Frog Tony, and there's several others that we're going against the machine. I'm fighting against a huge machine that is on YouTube and that is slowly taking over the culture. And so I am prepared. I'm sure I had a recent attack, about 6 months ago, and I expect there to be another one because I'm not going anywhere. I'll continue doing clips, but I am going to start doing a weekly anime show. I do have people from the anime community that have followed me over here and gotten
Nice,
interested in comics.
nice.
So I think that's important. We need to share that space with them so we can continue having more people enjoy Comicscape and any comics in general. Of course, we talk about pop culture and stuff like that. There's so many possibilities, endless possibilities for my channel that I look forward to taking over with. I'm just starting out, and I think I'll always clip people. That's a job that ain't gonna never stop. But I do look forward to on this journey. I'm very thankful because, like I said, I'm a normie. I'm a mom of two kids, and I'm just wanting to find some good shit for my kids to enjoy. I want to find some good shit. I want to get back into my good old nerd days when I was a kid. I love those times. I love those shows I grew up with, everything is just working out really well in my life to where I'm here to enjoy it. I'm love the fact that I'm learning every day from people of like, well, have you read this comic book? Actually, here's one that's good for your son. Go ahead and check it out. It's on Amazon. Like, I think people are liking the fact that I'm sort of new, but they're like, well, have you heard of this? Have you heard of this? Finally they can share like their passion for everything, nerd culture wise, to share it with me.
Mhm.
And it's been a great journey. I'm very blessed, and it's been great because I mean, not only do I do some detracting and clipping, but I have big names in Comicscape who used to work in the industry, that come on my show and they promote their campaigns. I also have small indie creators with their small campaigns that I bring on. We talk about their comic and what brought them here, and we try to help get some numbers for them, get some backers, and because Comicsgate is about supporting one another, uplifting each other, and now it's not just comics; it's content creators, it's indie music, it's
Okay.
indie animation, everything indie, and so that's what my channel is, to support all that. And it's been fun being a detractor. It's had its moments. It can be overwhelming, and your brain does get to rot after a while when you're
Mhm.
hearing the same, like, the one stream that I dread every fucking week listening to is Rippin' Silverback. I fucking dread listening to that.
Is that heels versus babyface? That guy? Oh
Yes.
yeah, yeah,
Oh
yeah.
my
Listen, yeah,
god.
you better than me. I don't even. I, I'm.
Well, I've
You.
got someone helping me with that I actually got, shout out to Pastor Flash. He's helped me watch that stream for me, and, he's like, "I don't know how the fuck you do it." I'm like, Dude, it's you just doing that one stream for me is helping me, like, what are you talking about? You're taking all this stress off me." Um, but, I I'm happy to be here, and I'm gonna keep detracting, and it's not just actually because people are like, "Well, why do you care so much about Eric? Just walk away. So what? You don't like him. Why do you keep going?" I said, "Well, because he's purposely trying to destroy the indie comic community. He
Okay.
is purposely destroying crowdfunding, and that is fucked up, and that is why I'm here to fight for it."
I have an opinion.
Yeah.
Me and Rev have both said he's become the gatekeeper that he used to talk about or fighting against. Do you see that? Do you see that as well, or you see
No,
something
I think
different?
he's like open his fucking floodgates for everybody. You got the Saska sisters coming in there. You talking about all this woke shit and you know, um, uh, the whole feminist movement. You got two crazy bitches who, no, I mean, the porn horror, whatever, that's fine. But the shit that we've uncovered about them working with Lucifer Valentine, I have a clip on my channel that guys can go check out that I've even linked to Tony's stream so you can get the full context. We did a stream one night, right when they were announced that they were getting to do the Ira comic. And luckily to some people in our community who are detractors that don't come out to the spotlight, they work behind the scenes,
Mhm.
found some really horrifying things, an interview actually with the sisters and Lucifer Valentine explaining this movie that they're doing with this girl who her name is Amira, who's the character in the movie. She was she was a drug addict who was kicked out of her home, and she was experiencing withdrawals, and Lucifer Valentine found her, saw how vulnerable she was, and said, "Hey, I'll give you what you need, but you got to do this for me." And he put her in a 24-hour BDSM abuse and put her in these movies with the Saskas. And they even said it in the interview. Yeah, her she that this poor 90-pound this poor 90-pound girl. And I'm like, 90 pounds? So like you guys knew that this woman was sick? And you believed that Lucifer Valentine was, I'm sure they were like, look, that chick doesn't look good. Why are we doing this? And he's like, don't worry, she's giving me her approval. She's all about this. And they went along with it. Like when you watch that interview, and because this is one of the things too. If you watch that interview, it makes you sick to your stomach. I was sick for 3 days after that stream we did with Tony. I was literally sick of just the thought of what these women and him did to this girl, because later on she ended up, dying in a drug exchange. She never got better. He raped his sister, graped his sister who was disabled, and she ended up killing herself, and they still talk to this guy. You let these women come in here who are profound Satanists, who are claiming to be Christians now, to each their own their faith. But how are you gonna come from that lifestyle to where you are now? You're still doing the same. You're still doing horror movies. You're still doing all this stuff. It seems like they never change and they're lying to the public. I and so him allowing them to come in there has destroyed that whole gatekeeping. Because he was bitching about everything that they're actually supporting kids turning into trans, like trans children. They support that. Support it. Not only about a year ago, 2 years ago, they still support it. But if you watch what these streams, they're very good about playing along with the game. And it's funny because Ripaverse did a puppet show about
Yo,
this,
I
and
wonder, you got a puppet? There's a puppet. Where can I go to get me a puppet? Like all bullshit to
just
the
reach
side.
out to just reach out to Ripaverse, man. Reach out to him on Twitter and give him a talk. He'd be
Okay,
happy to
okay,
talk to
okay.
you.
I want a goddamn. I see y'all's puppets, and I want a puppet. Okay, okay. Get back to your point. I'm sorry.
You're good, but he made a good, episode to where, like, the Saska sisters are sitting there with Eric and Ass on the ripping silverback, and they're talking about all this shit that, they're against, and they're sitting there smiling, but in the back, they're like little satans, and they're like, "Oh, I can't stand this shit. I can't how much longer do we have to put up with this shit?" It was really funny, and so I don't trust those women. I think they're in there to love bomb. I've seen these women. I've seen them on streams for so long. They love bomb everybody. They make everybody feel good about themselves, and they get you in their web of lies and manipulation. And like, I
Okay.
see, as a woman, I see what you're doing. Okay, I see what you're doing, ladies. I'm not stupid. I know you're coming in and manipulating these men, and so now you have the lore of the Ripaverse. Like, you are literally the editors and controllers of the Ripaverse.
So, is Eric a plant?
I think he is. I think he is. I think what they're gonna do, this is, and if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. I'll admit it. But I'm telling you right now, I think these women are gonna try to continue doing what they're doing. At some point, something's gonna happen, and those sisters are gonna take full advantage and take the company away from Eric. They'll come out and claim that the whole Me Too thing or something, and they'll try to take Eric's company right under him.
I saw somebody put that in their comments when he had them on the live stream. Somebody said they're gonna meet to you, bro. Like I was like, wow, you know what? Especially after he gave him so much leeway with the comics, and I'm just like, wow, that's for somebody else to
Well,
pick
and
up
if you
on that.
watch the video he did of, the behind the scenes of the live action Yaira trailer, if you look at that, like, he's all touchy with one of them and hugging and all this stuff. You got Ass on stream saying all this vulgar shit coming out of his mouth, like,
Yeah, yeah.
you guys are and then Fear the Beard, who's part of the Geeks and Gamers, I've clipped him a couple times. You could check that out too, where he's like a sucker for it and saying all it's like you could just see what they're doing, and these guys are falling for it. They're like, "Oh no, they become Christians now. They're on our side," and it's like, really? Do you not understand? See, the devil works in mysterious ways. I truly believe these sisters still do
Oh,
Satanism.
definitely. Yeah, 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 yeah.
Until the day they come out and tell me that they're not, I'm still gonna believe it. They have a way to it's like the devil likes to come in there and kinda manipulate you, tell you what you wanna hear. "Oh, you want this and this, I can give you everything you ever want. Just just let me have the keys to your Ripaverse. Let me have the keys, and I will give you whatever you want." And he fell for it. And now we're gonna see it. I'm telling you, it's gonna happen. It's gonna happen. These sisters are not gonna walk away from the Ripaverse empty-handed. They gonna take everything he has.
I
I'm
agree.
telling you.
I agree.
And if
Katie
I'm
did.
wrong, I'm wrong. It's okay. If
No,
I'm
no,
wrong,
I
I'll come
know
out here
you're
and
on
say,
point. Hey,
"Alright,
no,
I
you're on
fucked
point.
up."
No, you're on point. Katie did. last words for the people. Where can they find you at?
Well, you can find me at Katie Ditch channel. There I have all my clips, and also I do my streams. I do Good Morning Comicscape every Monday morning at 9:15, and then Comic Sips and Drama Drips every Saturday at 9:30. We're planning to do a weekly anime show once the kids go back to school. I'm going to start doing that. So for those that are here that love anime, you come over and check it out because we support the anime, and yeah, you can find all that great stuff. And if you have any comic books that you think that I should give to my children, please let me know. I'm always happy to take suggestions. Also, if you've seen a live stream and you see something that you're not sure that I've caught that you think would be interesting and clip worthy, please email me at katiedidapodcast@gmail.com. But you can also DM me on Twitter. I have my DMs open for anybody that wants to drop a tip because I can't have my eyes everywhere. So it's nice to have little birdies around keeping eyes on there for me. So, but I appreciate you, Sly. It's so good that we've had this
Yes,
conversation. And
yes, yes.
I support you, and I hope Red Sling is still good with me,
Oh, we're all good. We're all good. We're all good. Even
Good.
though, like, you ghosted me for like 3 months, that we had that Twitter exchange,
I
and
know,
I was
and
like,
then
damn, like,
well, let me tell you this, it's so funny. I know. I'm so sorry. I know. We've been trying to get together for so long. No, you know what's so funny is when you came on Tony's stream and you were wearing the InuYasha
yeah, yeah,
conductor
yeah,
shirt, I'm
yeah.
like, he knows. He knows. He's like, "Great, they're supporting me." Because yeah, that whole thing was ridiculous too. But next time I'll come on, I'll spill some beans, more of
All
it.
good,
But
all
it's
good.
so
It's all
good to
good.
have a brother in the
Yeah,
InuYasha
no,
community with
yeah,
me.
yeah,
Thank you.
all day, all day. Thank you,
I
hon, for
appreciate
coming
it.
through. Thank you, thank you. I definitely want to do this again with you.
Yes,
Your place or
please.
mine doesn't matter. So
Yeah,
yeah,
sounds
keep up the
good.
good fight. I'll be watching. I'll be watching from the hilltops, and then rooting for y'all. So yeah, yeah, definitely.
Oh, let me
If
ask you this. One more
yes,
exception though.
yeah,
Red Sling, you here in the chat. If any of you guys watch my clips, Red Sling, play the whole clip. Okay? Please play the whole clip. Because when you only watch half of it, my heart is broken. I'm like, my brain has rotted so much. Please make it worth it. Try to go through the whole clip. I know it's hard. I know, but you can. If I can do it, you can do it, Red. I promise.
definitely.
Thanks.
So is Ripaverse, is he on Twitter, or do I?
Yes.
How,
I will
okay,
send you his Twitter, a link to his Twitter. Yeah. I'll send
yeah,
it to you so
I
that way
wants
you
me a
can get.
goddamn puppet. I ain't listen. Y'all can't be having these puppets,
You
and
would be the perfect puppet for it
I'm here
because,
for it. Yes,
you know, it'd be perfect.
Katie, thank you for coming through. Thank you so
You're
much.
welcome. Thank
Enjoy the
you.
rest of your night.
All right. God bless. Bye.
Thank you. You too. Yo, I got it pack. Shout out to Katie. Shout out to the detractors. Yeah. Red, we getting puppets, bro. We're gonna get puppets. I don't give a fuck how much you charge. I want a puppet. I want a puppet. I want a super slot puppet. So with that being said, definitely go check out Katie's channel, subscribe to her, all that good stuff. I'm gonna get out of here because I got a long week ahead of me. So with that being said, thank y'all for coming through. I bid y'all good night. Peace. Oh, wait. Somebody gave me an idea. Y'all, wait, who is this? That ain't fucking logic. God damn it. God damn, you people are stupid. Okay, you're stupid. Okay, you're stupid. What? What'd you say? What'd you say, ARC? That ain't fucking logic. God damn it. God damn, you people are stupid. Okay, you're stupid. Okay, you're stupid. Yo, rest in peace, ARC. Rest in peace. That ain't fucking logic. God damn it. God damn, you people are stupid. Okay, you're stupid.